Yo, what is going on, y'all? I'm Cavell Anderson, and we're back with another video. In this one, we're going to be covering something interesting. So I guess $3 billion worth of Bitcoin was stolen. Now, this is interesting because I've actually been hearing people say that, oh, VV is a scam, Ecomi's a scam, the OMI token, this and that. And so many people have been talking about certain aspects that they're not satisfied with. Obviously, when people are losing money, whatever they're losing money in has to be a scam at that point in time because it's not blowing up on their timing. And to be fair, a lot of people could be in scams, but everything isn't that way. But this just goes to show you that there is going to be bad actors in every community. There's going to be negativity no matter how great something is. And I don't think anyone at this point in time is debating the value of Bitcoin. So it's like, we know that Bitcoin is a, you know, it's a valuable asset, but even that has its trouble. So yeah, we finna look at this story, this interesting story, see what's going on with it. And yeah, like, be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications, man. Let's get into it.
How do you feel after this today? Jimmy, you feel like the judge was fair today? Why'd you steal the money, Jimmy?
A spectacular crimes
This is going to be a huge case, and there's a lot more money that we don't know about.
in a small town.
Shocked. I was shocked. I was so surprised.
A 28-year-old secret Bitcoin billionaire, his private jets, wild parties, and dark secret.
It was just a surreal feeling, and with Jimmy, there were no limits.
This is the story of one of the biggest crypto heists of all time.
He's living this party monster lifestyle and with no visible means of support.
Right. With
I don't know why people do crimes and then get to live in this fancy, lavish lifestyle and stuff like that. Like, I don't get it. Like, but I guess at the point where you have billions, do you really need to be saving and you know, like, I guess you got some money to just do what you want and blow, and like, but parties and stuff like that, I don't know. I guess maybe if I could afford some like super fancy parties on yachts or something, maybe I would have more. But then again, I feel like I would still, no matter how successful I get, I would still rather be doing something more valuable with my time. I'm not a party type of guy personally, but that's just me. But yo, I mean, I get $1 billion in a bank account, things might change. You never know. So, hey.
clues dating back to the earliest days of Bitcoin itself, in a story that reveals a dark truth about the hackers and coders who created cryptocurrency in the first place.
A huge amount of Bitcoin is leaking out of the system, and you have no idea where it's going. Oh, it's a huge question.
And the man who could have gotten away with it, except for one phone call that led to an abrupt end to a nearly decade-long manhunt.
Clark County 911. What is your name, sir?
It's Jimmy Zong, Z-H-O-N-G.
He called the cops on himself? Hold on, what?
911. What is your name, sir?
It's
Clark County 911. What is your name, sir?
It's Jimmy Zong, Z-H-O-N-G.
This man said, I'm too rich. I done lived an amazing life. Let me try jail next. Like, what? Did he call the cops on himself? That's crazy.
They don't get a lot of big-time crime in Athens, Georgia. It's a college town, home to the University of Georgia, so they're used to college town-type crimes, bar fights, break-ins, that kind of thing.
Clark County 911.
Hey, I was gone for the past week or so, and someone broke into my house.
And what is your name, sir?
It's Jimmy Zong, Z-H-O-N-G.
But this 911 call on the night of March 13th, 2019 is something that Athens has never seen before. On the phone is 28-year-old Jimmy Zong, a hard-partying University of Georgia graduate and former computer science major. He's reporting a massive theft of cryptocurrency from his modest off-campus bungalow.
I'm having a panic attack.
Okay. Do you need an ambulance?
Zong sounds distressed, and a lot of money is missing.
If you had an approximate amount to say the total value was of the money?
Probably close to $400,000.
But Zong is sitting.
If this man got billions, first off, why is he crying, panicking over 400K? First off, that's the first thing. So I'm interested in seeing what's going on there. But second thing is, if you're like a college student or in a college town and ain't really did nothing with your life, how you reporting $400,000 in theft as if you should have that? Like, I don't know, some things just, it's ridiculous.
sitting on a lot more money than that. And with this phone call, he's taking a huge risk because he has a secret he doesn't want police to learn. Still, he does want to know who stole from him. And when police can't identify a suspect, Zong calls local private investigator Robin Martinelli to help him figure out who took all that money.
He was very nice.
When you got money, you should start with an investigator. You should start with somebody, but then again, you never know if they're gonna start investigating you and have their own ulterior motives. But going to the cops is pretty dumb if you're doing illegal shit. Just my opinion.
Nice and kind, and he had a real problem, so he called me.
He just called you out of the blue?
He did.
Martinelli starts her investigation at the scene of the crime.
So we were able to see that somebody had gotten in a window and they had actually broke in.
Zong said the thief took $400,000 worth of cash and 150 bitcoins, then worth almost $600,000 that was stashed behind his chimney.
It was well hidden, and he kept saying over and over that there was only a few friends and a few people that knew he kept cash there.
So you put his friends under surveillance?
That's another problem you have. Why does anyone know where you keep it? Like, I would argue family shouldn't even know where you keep that amount of money. Like that's an amount of money where, bro, people would do something crazy over $1,000, $400,000, and you think that your friends is your friends? Like, no, I can't, bro. I mean, I trust my friends completely, and I'm not gonna tempt somebody with more money than they feel like they could potentially see in their lifetime. Like, come on now, like that's crazy. Not lifetime, but you know, like you good a few years. Like where I'm from, you good a few years, you find 200 bands, like 400 bands, you're good for a while.
Them, yes. We went into the bar locations. I think we went to some of the houses. Spent a lot of time with Jimmy, went through his house, did some social media investigations, did background checks.
But one question sticks in her mind.
What are you doing with that much cash? And I asked over and over, and he said he had invested it. It made no sense. And I tell just about everybody, before you hire me, I'm married to a cop, my girls are cops.
The private eye scours the tapes from Zong's elaborate home video surveillance systems.
We were able to see that we thought it was a male, kind of thin, and the person knew exactly where to go. Like, was kind of dodging where the camera might be.
So you thought this might be a person who's been here before?
Correct, yes.
So yes, maybe it's a friend of Jimmy's, someone who's worked for him.
To Martinelli, it seems Zong doesn't have many true friends, other than his dog, Chad.
So who were his friends? Who was he hanging out with?
I remember a female, a couple of males, just about his age that were just ne'er-do-wells. Very casual, plastic, not really caring, maybe using Jimmy a little bit. Maybe.
They were using him?
So he doesn't really have any real friends, yet they know he keep that type of money in his house. I mean, he deserved it, to be honest. Like, like, what are you doing? Like, why do they know that you got that type of bread, bro? Like,
I don't know if they really cared about Jimmy.
Yeah. Did he know that?
I don't think he knew that or wanted to know that. Jimmy wanted to be loved, or Jimmy wanted friends. Jimmy was a...
He could have sent me a little bit of Bitcoin and I'd love him. Like, see, like that's wasted. You wasting your money. Like, I'd have loved you, man. I'd have loved you. You sent me some Bitcoin. Like, you got all the love you need here, buddy. Like, you know?
A good guy.
I mean, non-freaky. We don't get down like that, but you know what I'm saying?
Go back a few years, and a lot of people in Athens think Zong is a good guy. He's throwing a lot of money around. In addition to his bungalow in Athens, he buys himself a home on nearby Lake Lanier. He buys a boat and jet skis and expensive cars.
He was a few years older than us, and he just loved to party.
Stefana Masick goes to a lot of those parties. She met Zong while she was a student at the University of Georgia.
He would buy me and my friends drinks, and then there were multiple times too where he would buy shots for everyone at the bars.
He would buy shots for every single person in the bar?
Yeah.
I mean, like 100 people?
Yeah, pretty much. I remember he lent me some money that I needed, and then there was never that expectation that I had to pay it back. when he was a friend to you, he was a very generous friend. I would say I came to really enjoy having Jimmy as a friend in my life.
In 2018,
asking a man for money and getting as much as you want without having to pay it back, I bet you did enjoy having him as a friend in your life. That is crazy.
When Zong's beloved Georgia Bulldogs make it to the Rose Bowl, he gathers up his party friends, rents a private jet, and takes the whole gang to Los Angeles.
We all flew private, and Jimmy rented a really nice Airbnb, and he got everyone really nice tickets to the game also. He ended up giving everyone a budget, and that was very unexpected, you know, just having a friend giving all his friends that came with him on the trip money to just purchase items on Rodeo Drive. So it was kind of like, am I dreaming, you know? Like, it was a very crazy moment.
I was told it was $10,000 each. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. It was a number like that.
So what did everybody buy?
Everyone went to the Cartier store first and then just bought a lot of purses, belts, jewelry, coats, stuff like that. It was pretty wild. I mean, that doesn't happen every day.
More than a year after the Rodeo Drive shopping spree, Athens police are trying to find out who stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from Zong's house. Lieutenant Jody Thompson of the Athens-Clarke County Police Department leads the local property and financial crimes unit. He says Zong has an elaborate security system, cameras bristling at the door and on the roof of his home. And whenever there's a crime, Zong is happy to share video evidence with Athens PD.
So we would have break-ins, we would have DUIs, we would have accidents.
And Jimmy was always there to help you guys out?
Always, always.
But Zong also has a criminal history of his own, including a DUI and a bizarre incident a few years earlier.
So Jimmy was in a restaurant talking to some girls, and he happens to mention that he has $30,000 worth of blow at his house if they want to come back and party.
$30,000 worth of coke?
$30,000 of cocaine. Unfortunately for Jimmy, there was an off-duty police officer sitting in the restaurant one table over.
That's just bad timing.
It was really bad timing. So with a quick phone call, there was other officers who arrived, and he was arrested. They actually found some drugs on him, and he got a couple felony charges from that.
So he's drunk and disorderly, he's busted for coke possession, he's bragging to girls in bars. I mean, the guy sounds like his life was a little bit out of control.
I think it was. I think Jimmy was always looking for more. He was looking for a friend. I think a lot of people took advantage of that, and I feel bad for him on that because he was so naive.
Zong says he spent a significant portion of his wealth partying.
Jimmy, admittedly, I've spoken to him a few times since, probably spent about $500,000 just in partying downtown.
$500,000 in bar tabs?
That's what he estimated, yes.
Wow.
He said he spent a lot of money having a good time.
He's living this party monster lifestyle and with no visible means of support.
Right. And he said he just invested in Bitcoin and made his money. And, you know.
And you had no reason to doubt that?
No reason to doubt it.
But that changes when the police investigator gets a call from agents at the IRS. Across the country, a crack team of IRS criminal investigators specializing in cryptocurrency has spent years tracking the 2012 hack of a criminal dark web marketplace called the Silk Road. Someone stole 50,000 bitcoins from the drug dealers, gun runners, and pornographers who used that site. As the price of the bitcoins explodes over the next years, the value of that astonishing heist climbs to more than $3 billion.
They asked me about the Bitcoin and how much was in there and if he talked about where he got it from or anything like that. And I really didn't have the answers for him. But I told him, let me email him, and I'm sure Jimmy will meet with us.
Zong quickly agrees to meet the agents. And when they arrive at his lakefront home, Thompson's body camera is rolling.
Hey, Jimmy. How are you? Hey, you remember me?
The agents go inside Zong's bizarre world and learn more about who they're dealing with.
I mean, I've always been on the computer guy. I've always been just that kind of thing.
So let me find out this clown got exposed for having $3 billion because he wanted to find out who stole 400,000. This sounds ridiculous to me. Like, you really wanted to find out that bad. Like, bro, you just let that slide move or something, bro. What's going on?
In Athens, Georgia, someone has stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars in cryptocurrency from local party boy Jimmy Zong. But investigators who looked into that crime get a call out of the blue from armed federal agents of the IRS.
Typically, when we deal with larger enforcement agencies, we don't ask a lot of questions about their investigation.
Thompson suddenly finds himself going to Zong's home with two highly skilled cryptocurrency investigators, a federal agent and a contractor working for the U.S. government.
Hey, Jimmy.
My name is Trevor McLennan. I'm a special agent with IRS Criminal Investigation.
My name is Sean Magruder. I am the founder and CEO of BlockTrace.
BlockTrace is a company that investigates cryptocurrencies on the blockchain. The IRS hired Magruder for his experience untangling complicated transactions. He's been looking into a massive heist from a dark website called the Silk Road for years.
Well, Silk Road is a very unique marketplace, right, where users could deposit Bitcoins on this exchanger, so to speak, and where they could then purchase goods, services, cocaine, weapons.
All the bad guy stuff.
All the bad guy stuff, right.
And people thought this was a private transaction and they could just get away with it.
They thought that. So the beautiful thing about the blockchain is that all transactions are preserved going back to 2009 when Bitcoin was first launched.
So all those criminals were just dead wrong. It wasn't private.
It wasn't private, right? It wasn't private at all.
In 2012, somebody steals 50,000 Bitcoins from that criminal exchange, and federal agents begin to try to figure out who done it. A lead in the case doesn't come until 6 years later, when Magruder finds a clue that points to Zong.
One of the special agents who I worked with on the team calls me and says, hey, Sean, can you help out and assist with this? If you could just take a look at it, over the course of the weekend, that'd be great. And this was on a Friday. By Monday, I came back with an answer and I said, hey, I think we might have something here. And so we noticed some activity that was standing out to us.
What was it?
What was it? Great question. So, it's a good question.
Are you allowed to say?
That is a sort of sensitive law enforcement technique.
You can't talk about it publicly.
Not that specific technique.
But you realize that there were some clues here that you would be able to follow.
Right, absolutely.
And then Zong makes a big mistake with a relatively small amount of money. Zong transfers around $800 worth of Bitcoin to an exchange that has a policy called Know Your Customer, which is referred to as KYC. The policy requires anyone who sends or buys cryptocurrency from the exchange to provide their name and identifying information.
So after issuing a subpoena to that KYC exchange, we had a positive ID on Jimmy.
Because of the subpoena, the exchange has to tell you the name of the person.
That's correct.
And did he use his real name?
He did.
Group, if we don't know.
Investigators follow that trail of clues right to Zong's home. The three men come up with a plan to go see Zong, telling him they're there to investigate the crime against him, never mentioning they're also there to investigate something else, a much bigger crime. And this never-before-seen police body cam video shows the moment in real time. Zong, without hesitation, lets the investigators right in.
Hey, this is Trevor and Sean. They're going to be with me.
We went to the door under the premise that these two guys, Sean and Trevor, were going to be assisting me with
I ain't an expert or nothing, but ain't that entrapment? Like, how does that work?
Investigation into recovering his Bitcoin that was stolen.
Yeah, these guys are going to kind of help me out a little bit because we've been getting more of the cases kind of like what you have.
Really?
And
watching that tape, it's almost like he was just desperate for someone to talk to.
I think that might be another side of Jimmy that no one really knew about too, is the loneliness of being that wealthy and not having anybody to share it with.
And you guys walk in the door and start talking to him, and here he opens up.
He did.
You guys get this solved, I'm going to invite y'all up for a beer whenever y'all want.
all right.
I kept, again, complimenting his house,
This is so beautiful.
talk about his dog,
Beautiful dog.
anything we could do to keep him talking. And as he became more and more comfortable, eventually I asked Jimmy, show us around.
Yeah.
Let's see the whole house.
He'll show us. You can see the baby lake server.
He's a shitty criminal. Like, I don't know My man's got to be mad smart to pull off a heist, but I don't even know. I feel like he looked up. Like, I don't feel like it was probably something skillful he did. I feel like he got lucky because there's no way you doing something this big and you this dumb. That's crazy. Need friends and you trust in the cops while making billions doing something illegal? It's crazy.
There's an L-shaped couch. There's slider doors to the right. And there's a TV on the wall. There's what appears to be a firearm of some sort over the slider door, which we would later learn was a flamethrower.
You had a flamethrower in the house?
We did have a flamethrower.
Are you doing your own floor? Huh? Are you doing tile work? That's leftover from...
This is the concrete tile?
You do this job for a while and you notice things in homes and you think, I could hide something there.
So were you looking for secret compartments as you went around the house?
Yes, it's just kind of the part of the process.
Yeah, come up to the office.
We went upstairs, and on my way to the room, all three of us, with the Athens PD and IRSCI, we saw the AR-15 on the wall.
You got the AR-15 against the wall? Yeah, it looks beautiful, man.
When you see the AR-15 in the house, do you feel like this guy could be dangerous?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you see an AR-15 with a magazine in it hanging on the wall, not in any way, shape, or form locked or bolted and ready to go, I mean, that poses a security threat.
Armed or not, they have to get Zong talking.
Okay, so I guess kind of a personal question is, how did you acquire the money? I don't even know what you do, Jimmy.
These days I'm in real estate development. I'm the funding.
Zong shows the investigators a suitcase he used to store $1 million in cash.
Yeah, it's the exact case.
Is that a Zero Halliburton or is that a
That's just some random Amazon case.
Okay.
You know?
That's crazy. My man showing them pictures. They like, we ain't got nothing, but here you go. Here goes something for you. $1 million in a briefcase. And he got $1 million in a briefcase, yet all of this is because he crying over $400K.
That's this girl back then. So I was like,
you're pressing us.
Let's try to pull out $1 million cash and have it as this aluminum briefcase, and just like, you know, I was trying to press her back then.
Did it work?
Nope.
That never does. Never does.
We eventually went downstairs, saw they had like a party pad built with a stripper pole in the middle and a full bar.
Is this your workout? Nope, that's for the girls. Okay. Nice.
You don't see that too often.
You don't see that very often at all, but in behind that bar was a whole nother room of computer servers that he had built out.
So I ran Cat 6 everywhere.
Well, that was a good opportunity.
That's awesome.
And fiber.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Next, they ask Zong about his...
He said, here's all the equipment, this everything you need to know about it. If you want to hack my shit or look for anything, yeah, this is where it's located. This is what it does. This is the name of it. You can buy your own like this. Let me know if you want me to help you hack my shit. Like, what's wrong with this guy, bro? My man's just tripping.
History.
This is the worst criminal in history.
With Bitcoin. And Zong revealed...
He could have just hit me up. Like, I could have politely asked for some bread. Like, what's up? Like, why can't people like this just give me $1 billion? I'll be happy. I'll be your friend.
His involvement with crypto goes all the way back to 2009, which is the same year Bitcoin was first launched.
When did you first dive in?
Huh?
When did you first?
Probably like 2009 or?
Investigators begin to see Zong's level of sophistication.
This is like so foreign to me.
Dedicated Bitcoin mining chips. Those two big black guys.
Oh, wow. Oh, I was thinking chips. I wasn't thinking...
Oh, I mean, the individual chips have to be assembled into something.
They continue to probe, getting Zong to explain his security system.
It's like 30 seconds, regular sirens goes off.
So did you do that?
40 seconds, that goes off.
Wow.
And that will make your head pound.
But the most important thing is, they have to get Zong to open his laptop.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to need you guys look away, because this is going to be my password.
Okay.
I'm just watching, it's like you're typing a sentence over there.
Oh, wait, that's why.
So is this like the equivalent of your hot wallet, where you say you have 1,500?
This
is your play money?
This is the hot wallet, and then the cold wallet is, I'm not going to tell you where it is. that's on camera. I don't even know.
Oh no,
if that leaks around the department
No,
or something.
no.
I don't.
No one is going to see that. Only the whole internet. Like, no one was like, come on, bro. This guy, how you this dumb, bro? How you this dumb? This type of money, you thought that this video and stuff wasn't going to get leaked, bro? You thought that you could talk to anyone? Like, come on now, man. You did this. You did the perfect crime by yourself. No one needed to be involved. No one ever needed to know, and you just couldn't shut up. Like, that's crazy. You had one person who could snitch on you and confirm anything, and you do it. Like, what? What's up, bro?
See the evidence they need when he opens the laptop, a wallet filled with an enormous number of Bitcoins.
So in the day of the video that we see, you walk out of the house, the three of you are leaving, and we see you go out to the driveway. What are you thinking the moment you walk out that door?
This is incredible. I think we found our guy.
Jimmy, pleasure to meet you, man.
No problem.
After the house tour, the federal agents decide they have enough. Evidence ties Zong to the 2012 Silk Road hack. It's all about to come crashing down for Zong. And it's all because he called 911 to report that someone had stolen some of his stolen loot.
If he hadn't done that, would he still be living large in private jets?
I believe he would.
He's sitting on what would be $3 billion worth of stolen assets, and he calls the cops to report a theft of just a fraction of that. Who does that?
Jimmy.
As they dig into Zong's story, agents begin to suspect that Zong's skills are proof that he's more than just a typical hacker.
You don't have to answer it. Like, how OG are you?
I don't have vast majority of them anymore, but I mined at least 300,000.
Wow.
I blew them all downtown drinking in Athens.
Over the years, the Bitcoin stolen from the Silk Road dark website in 2012 has skyrocketed in value to $3.36 billion. Investigators hunting for the hacker use a ruse to get into Jimmy Zong's home and get him to open his laptop.
Yeah. But you don't even have just like one Bitcoin laying around?
Oh, I mean, 1,500 on that laptop alone.
Oh, serious?
I mean, this guy's crazy, bro. Sitting on $3 billion. I mean, he's kind of smart because he's still living in the same old house, like a regular house. He ain't in a mansion or nothing. But still, the way he's blowing money is not normal. It's like he kind of had some things he was doing right, but then he just completely goes full dummy.
Investigators hunting for the hacker use a ruse to get into Jimmy Zong's home and get him to open his laptop.
Yeah. But you don't even have just like one Bitcoin laying around?
Oh, I mean, 1,500 on that laptop alone.
Oh, serious?
When you're sitting next to him on the couch, he opens his laptop. What do you see on that screen?
Lo and behold, he had $60 or $70 million worth of Bitcoins right there next to us.
So with one glance at the screen on his laptop, you could instantly tell this is a guy who's a credible suspect. He could have pulled this off.
That's right.
No cameras are rolling the day investigators.
He let a cop see 60 million in Bitcoin. Like, are you shitting me, bro? Like, how dumb can you be? Like, this is ridiculous. 60 million in Bitcoin? Bro, all I needed was one of them. Like, he could have at least gave me one of them things. I ain't do nothing. Could have did nothing to me. It was a gift.
Returned to Zong's house to execute a search warrant for the 50,000 stolen Bitcoins. But it's a huge law enforcement operation. And one thing is critical for the mission's success. They have to get inside Zong's laptop.
When I did the search warrant briefings with all the agents out of the Atlanta field office, it's a hard sell to say, hey, we're gonna hit someone's house tomorrow, multiple locations. Oh, by the way, you may or may not be familiar with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but there's a chance that this person sits on somewhere around 3 billion in cryptocurrency, 50,000 Bitcoin. And you kind of get this look of like, is this guy from another planet?
We met at a parking lot where I saw a lot of law enforcement. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing now. We're going to be doing a search warrant today.
After we had that rehearsal of how the search warrant would go, me, the original Athens PD detective, and 2 special agents visit Jimmy.
They tell Zong that in order to help with his stolen Bitcoin case, they needed to verify information on his computer. So you go in and it's still under the pretext that you're there to help him.
That's right.
I brought Chad a dog toy to play with to keep him pacified, make sure that he was out of the harm's way. And we entered Jimmy's house.
Make sure he was out of harm's way. Nah, make sure he was out of the way. Look, he almost was honest. Can't trust these cops, bro.
House.
McLeenan is about to finally tell Zong the truth. Investigators are not there to help solve the crime against him. They're there to search his house for evidence of the $3 billion heist.
We start doing our thing, walking through the transactions, you know, getting him to open up his computer.
So you have to have that computer open, unlocked, passwords entered, and then Jimmy physically away from it so you can grab it before it locks itself.
That was the goal. And I started to draw Jimmy's attention away from his laptop. I asked him if we could take a look on his back balcony over the lake.
So he asks Zong to step across the room and help open the sticky sliding glass door.
Jimmy got up, started walking to the slider glass, and my co-case stuck what's called a jiggler in the computer, which causes the mouse to move around the screen so that it doesn't lock. We stepped outside. My co-case came outside on the patio with us. And just like in movie circumstances, you know, Jimmy's sitting on the back porch. We're like, oh, this is an amazing view. And Jimmy's looking at me and I said, Jimmy, you know me as Trevor. I'm actually Trevor McLeenan, a special agent with IRS Criminal Investigation, and we're here to execute a federal approved warrant on your house. And he kind of had this look like, am I being punked?
Right.
It's at that point where literally in movie time, the search warrant team hit the house, pounding on the door, police with a warrant, flooded the house, and you could see the panic start to ensue in his mind.
So that's the first moment where it flipped for him.
Yeah.
And you were able to take advantage of that 1 minute where he was away from the computer to grab it and keep it open.
Yep.
Officers swarmed through the house looking for evidence. Zong's neighbor, Walt Frazier, was there the day it happened.
I didn't know what to think. I mean, I'd never seen that many police anywhere in my walk of life, and then they're all in my front yard, and I went, holy cow.
Upstairs in the bathroom closet, off to the side of the roof, was in fact a popcorn tin. And in that popcorn tin were some towels, which starts to draw your interest as to why you would possess a popcorn tin with towels in it. So then one of the searchers started pulling apart the different towels and found the single board computer. Later, we were able to discern with Jimmy's assistance that that possessed a ton of the Bitcoin.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Using a dog specifically trained to sniff for computer hardware, they find a safe buried in concrete underneath some basement flooring tile.
In that safe, we found Bitcoin. We had found a wallet that had the...
He's a billionaire. Why is all of his money where he's laying his head at? He's a billionaire who don't want nobody to know that he's a billionaire. Like, why isn't your fortune stashed away at a property no one even knows is yours? It's like, bro, I don't know, man.
The addresses that were associated with the 50,000.
They also find physical Bitcoins that were minted in cryptocurrency's early years, precious metals, and old-fashioned paper currency.
November 9, really late at night, we were able to say we were successful. We found the evidence that we were looking for, and the house lit up. I mean, every agent on site cheered.
After the cheering dies down, investigators also realize that Zong was more than an ordinary criminal hacker. The IRS concluded that Zong was what's known as a Bitcoin OG, slang for original gangster, one of the early developers who drove the rise of cryptocurrency.
So he contributed to the code. He would constantly offer up suggestions on how to improve it.
But Zong said it wasn't his coding skills that allowed him to steal the Bitcoin from the Silk Road. In his plea statement, Zong said he stumbled across the flaw accidentally. In his statement, Jimmy says that the way he stole these Bitcoin was he was withdrawing some assets from Silk Road. He had been using it to purchase cocaine, and he realized if he simply double-clicked, he could withdraw more than he had put in. Is that what happened?
To the instance that he would just double-click the withdraw button, we don't know the answer to that question.
I mean, that seems awfully simple.
Yeah. But what gets a little bit more complicated is what we were able to discern with monikers that Jimmy had used, that he knew exactly how much was in the hot wallet of the Silk Road in September of 2012. So in that instance, he knew when he stole 50,000 Bitcoin from the Silk Road, he knew exactly what the max was that he could get away with.
And he hit that max?
Yeah.
Zong says his skills also impressed somebody else, Ross Ulbrecht, the man who created the Silk Road site that Zong attacked. Online, Ulbrecht went by the moniker Dread Pirate Roberts, and according to Zong, Ulbrecht agreed to simply give Zong the bitcoins he stole, plus 5,000 more, as a reward.
Jimmy and the Dread Pirate Roberts were in contact with each other, right?
That's what Jimmy alleges it. We couldn't find any evidence to support that position.
Why would the Dread Pirate Roberts pay Jimmy a reward for stealing from the Dread Pirate Roberts? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Our understanding was that that was in response to helping him fix an error with the Silk Road payment processing system.
So the idea is that Jimmy exposed a flaw and exploited it to steal the money, and then he sort of sold that flaw back to the Dread Pirate Roberts and said, I'll explain to you how I did it if you let me keep the money?
Yep.
Court documents state after the hack, Zong used sophisticated laundering techniques to use stolen Bitcoin for lavish trips and real estate investments.
So he took advantage of Bitcoin mixing services out there that would mix, his transactions with other people's transactions and then come out the other end, right? Where they would be clean, so to speak.
In the end, though, Zong didn't get to keep the money. After the U.S. government confiscated the assets, victims had the opportunity to come forward and claim their Bitcoin, but nobody did, which isn't surprising given that the Silk Road was an exchange for criminal activity, and the feds...
They said, hey, all of this was obtained illegally. All of this was illegal money. But if you want it back, just come confess to your crime and we'll give you your bread back. Like, come on now. Who dumb enough to sit here and say, hey, some of that's my Bitcoin? Like, bro, come on now. They said, hey, y'all can have this back. Like, that's the oldest trick in the book. Like, this dude is probably the only one who would fall for something like that. Like, come on.
Sold off Zong's Bitcoin. Tyler Hatcher is the special agent in charge of the Los Angeles field office for IRS criminal investigation.
So Jimmy stole the money, but the U.S. government is going to get to keep it.
Correct.
There's some irony there, right?
There is some irony there, yeah.
When you think about this case, you had a hacker stealing from the Silk Road, and the clients of the Silk Road were just awful people, right? I mean, you had drug dealers, gun runners, all kinds of bad guys on there. The victim here is another set of criminals. So it's hard to have sympathy for anybody involved in that case. How do you approach a case like that?
There's that saying, there's no honor among thieves, right? So when we talk about illicit funds that are out there, the last thing we want is any criminal being able to spend it, right? That's why we have jobs, that's why we look for these opportunities.
Hatcher says some of it will likely go to the local police department in Athens.
The government certainly has not been hurt by Jimmy's conduct whatsoever.
Michael Bachner is Zong's attorney for this case.
If Jimmy had not stolen the coins and the government had, in fact, seized them from Ulbrecht, they would have sold them 2 years later in 2014, as they did with other coins, and would have gotten $320 a coin, or made somewhere about $14 million. Now, as a result of Jimmy having them, the government has gotten a $3 billion profit.
Bachner says at the time Zong stole the coins, he did not believe he was committing a federal crime.
Bitcoin back then was very much like the Wild West. The coins had sometimes no value, or such a fluctuating value.
At sentencing, Bachner described the abuse Zong faced from the other kids at school.
That shouldn't be like a crazy crime, especially at that time. At that time, Bitcoin wasn't really worth nothing. So now that it's worth $3 billion a day, that don't mean he should get charged for a $3 billion crime, because technically it wasn't even an asset for real when he did it. Like, it was nothing, literally. It was just some weird little thing on a computer. Who would have knew that years later it would blow up and become one of the biggest currencies in the world? But he didn't steal one of the biggest currencies in the world. He stole something before it became anything. So technically, his sentence should not be crazy, in my opinion. I mean, he's still an idiot, but yeah.
He's on the spectrum for autism. He was subject to consistent, unabated abuse, which included randomly being punched in the face for no reason. He would go to school, do very well in school because he was really smart, and then go home, lock himself in his room or go to his room and be on his computer.
Nathaniel Popper is the author of Digital Gold, which chronicles the history of Bitcoin. He says a hacker culture ran through the early Bitcoin community.
You have to see if you can break the system to figure out how it doesn't work. So when the system broke, it was viewed as an opportunity to learn from it, to figure out how can we strengthen this for the future. If we want this to work in the long run, we need to repair the little leaks in it. There's this strange way in the Bitcoin story where everybody who played a significant role is both a villain and a hero at the same time. And that conflict, that tension is there in Silk Road, and I think it's also there in Jimmy's story.
Zong pled guilty to 1 count of wire fraud. No friends or family were present for Zong's sentencing, but he received a half-dozen letters of support from friends, one of whom said, "My heart goes out to Jimmy because all he wants in this life is to love others and for others to love him." In a tearful statement, Zong said the Bitcoin made him feel important and worth something and asked for no jail time so he could take care of his closest remaining friend, his dog, Chad.
Chad and Jimmy have an extremely close, loving relationship. Chad is 13 years old now and sick, has feeding tube, and Jimmy spends time and effort caring for him.
I think he was stuck. He didn't talk to his family that I knew of, so I don't know of anybody he'd been close to but his dog, Chad.
His dog?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, his dog, Chad.
I think he just wanted to have a lot of fun and maybe outsmart having a traditional life.
On April 14th, the verdict came down. We waited outside the courtroom during Zong's 2-hour sentencing,
Here comes.
in which he received a year and a day in prison for his role in the Silk Road hack.
Jimmy, how do you feel after this today? Why'd you steal the money, Jimmy? Did you think
A year and a day is not bad. It's not bad. I mean, $3 billion worth of assets, you get a year. Not mad at that. I mean, that was worth it. That was definitely worth it. Most people only make like 30K in a year or something like that. So to get $3 billion and live that life for as long as you did and only got to sacrifice a year of your life, a lot of people sacrifice a hell of a lot more of that than that in their life. Well, most people, 99% of people sacrifice more of their life than that and get a hell of a lot less. So, hey.
you're gonna get away with it? Anything else to say, Jimmy?
Obviously, they never solved that. They don't care to. So that man got off scot-free. Bigger fish. Yeah, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane, man. This story was crazy. I mean, it is interesting to learn some history and backstory to Bitcoin. I'm definitely going to be diving more into some more, Bitcoin, some more XRP, a lot of things on the channel. It's a lot of investments, a lot of looks into cryptos and things like that on the channel because I will be investing in a lot more things. But this was just interesting to watch because, yeah, I mean, this was kind of a crazy story. This was an insane story. So let me know what you all think. Let me know if you enjoyed this. If you want to see more stuff like this on the channel, we'll be checking out a lot. But yeah, be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I will catch you all on the next one, fam. Peace out, y'all.